afternoon, everybody. How is your day going? You're welcome to Legal Clues on Emirate FM. I believe your day is going well, and it is my prayer that you all have a beautiful and fruitful day ahead of you. Already, you know that on Legal Clues, we usually bring you tips, legal tips, and we try to keep you abreast of your rights and obligations as citizens of this country. We also try to give you vital information and tips that you need to know on how to live a crime-free life. My name is Damilola Obadimeji, your host on this program. So on today's episode of Legal Clues, we'll be discussing the topic invitation and arrest of individuals by law enforcement agencies. By that topic, I know you understand what we're talking about. We're just trying to say that where law enforcement agencies such as Nigerian Police Force, EFCC, Civil Defense, and a host of others, when they invite you, how should you go about it? Who should you go with? What are the things you need to know before going? What right do you even think you have before you start going? So those are the things we want you to know. For example, when we say invitation, what is invitation? What does arrest mean? And some things you need to be aware of before you go. So when you get invitation, you don't just have to start fidgeting and start getting afraid unnecessarily. You should relax and put your mind together on how to go about it. So for law enforcement agencies, we are talking about police, civil defense, EFCC, NDLEA, and a host of others. For today's program, we'll be talking basically on police invitation. So what does it mean to be invited by law enforcement agencies? Like I said earlier, law enforcement agencies invitation is a formal request for an individual to appear at either a police station, civil defense office, EFCC, and a host of others to provide information or to give answers to some questions they want to put to you, or to participate in an investigation. So an invitation by these agencies is not the same as arrest or as a charge. An invitation is like an initial step in the investigative process. So I will focus mainly, like I said earlier, on police investigation and arrest today. Now you need to know what the police have, the right they have to invite you. You need to know that the police have the right to invite you and to investigate any allegations of crime. So when there is a petition to the police for them to investigate a crime, they have the right to invite anybody that they deem fit that will help them to get a clearer investigation or to make the investigative process easy for them. So you can be invited, anybody at all can be invited by the police, in as much as you can help them to shed some light on probably a case they're handling. So you need to know that. And they also have the right to investigate any allegation of crime before them. So police possess the statutory authority to invite individuals suspected of either committing offenses as part of their investigative process for them to ascertain whether or not the criminal offense has indeed occurred. So they can invite anybody. So Section 4 of the Nigerian Police Act provides the general powers that the law has bestowed upon the police, and it emphasizes their role in crime prevention and detection. They also have a role in apprehension of offenders and to maintain law and order generally, and ultimately to safeguard life and properties. So all these rights has been given as statutory powers on police by the law, by the Nigerian Police Act, to show the extent of rights that they have and their duties. And of course, they can apprehend offenders, they can investigate crime, like we have said. So inviting you for probably questioning or to write statement and like that is not something you should be afraid of. Of course, if you are not guilty of any criminal offense. So be aware that when you get a police investigation, it is essential to understand that the police may be acting within the lawful confines of their powers as provided by the law. So when the police invite you, you are expected to go. Some people, probably because they are afraid, they will be rejecting police invitation. When the police invites them, they wouldn't go. That is so wrong of you. Once you are invited by the police, not only the police now, any law enforcement agency, you are expected to honor the invitation. Not honoring it can be detrimental. You're expected to honor it. You're expected to go. So, are you expected to go? Like we said, yes, you're expected to go. You're expected to honor a police invitation, and responding to that invitation is both your civic duty and a responsibility. As a citizen of Nigeria, you hold that responsibility and the civic duty to honor invitations when called upon by our law enforcement agencies. They are not doing works of their own. Of course, they are doing a lawful duty as placed upon them by the provisions of the law. So honoring their invitation is an obligation on us as citizens of Nigeria. So receiving a police or any law enforcement agency's invitation can be, of course, we know can be a nerve-wracking experience. A lot of people will be afraid once they are being called upon, but it is important to approach it calmly and with a clear understanding of your rights and responsibilities. Now, before heading to a police station upon invitation, before engaging with them, it is advisable that you seek counsel from a legal practitioner. You would have gone to a legal practitioner, state whatever you think you know about the case they are investigating, ask for clearance and for guidance on how to go about honoring the invitation. No, you don't just go like that without having some things in your head, without knowing some things. So you should go prepared, well received. You should have received, ample guidance from your legal practitioner before you honor such call. So it's important to know that you must honor police invitation, and it's also important that you get legal counsel before you honor police invitation. As you know, you are listening to Legal Clues on Emirate Radio. Please, we want to go on a short break. Sit back, relax. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to Legal Clues on Emirate Radio, and as you know, we give you legal tips on how to go about living a crime-free life on Legal Clues. We started for the purpose of people just joining us. We started today's episode with the topic invitation by law enforcement agencies. Invitation and arrest of individuals by law enforcement agencies. We have told you that it is a civic duty and obligation for you to honor invitations of law enforcement agencies. Once you're called upon, probably to shed light on a particular case they're investigating or to give answers to some questions, you have that obligation and that duty to, of course, honor it. And we have said that as though it could be nerve-wracking when you receive an invitation from law enforcement agencies, you should sit back, relax, and calm down. Don't just rush at it. Get legal counsel before you honor such invitation. Of course, you know that lawyer will offer you insight into your rights and the most appropriate course of action that you have, and they will give you legal advice that will help you in making a well-informed decision about the invitation. So it's important for you to go, of course, but go with ample understanding of what you are likely to meet there. Firstly, you have a right to inform the police when they invite you that the dates given to you is not convenient. If it is not, it's not because probably you have been given an invitation and that date will not be convenient for you. You don't just take with levity and ignore. You should tell them. You have that right to tell them, this date you have given me is not convenient, may I please shift it to another date? And of course they will give you another date that is convenient, so you can tell them about it and promise a more convenient earliest time so the invitation can be rescheduled to a more suitable date. So it is important to go also with your lawyer while honoring a police invitation. You have a right to legal representation. It's a constitutionally guaranteed right. The Constitution has guaranteed that right for you. Once you have an invitation or you're being arrested, you have the right to legal representation. So it's always advisable to honor such invitations in the company of your lawyer. Don't just go alone. If you cannot, of course, afford a lawyer, you can go with a person of interest, possibly a friend, a family member. So that will help you, because in case it's going to lead to detention, the person can help you seek legal help for you to be released on time. But going alone is not advisable. So going with your lawyer will help you protect your right at the station from the start, and to prevent possibly violations of your right during the investigation. So having a lawyer present when being invited is crucial. It usually safeguards against potential abuses and protects you against self-incrimination. So it is wise, you are not obligated like we always tell you here, but it is wise to involve a lawyer early. If you cannot get a lawyer, informing a trusted person to accompany you is important. They can provide emotional support for you, and also ensure that someone is aware of bail requirements if detention comes in. So if you are aware of the complaints against you, it is also advisable to gather all the relevant informations and documentations that can help you in the investigative process. Of course, you have the right to be heard. You can make a defense, and you also have the right to politely decline any effort by the police officers to write statements on your behalf. And instead, if you can read and write, you write your own statement without coercion or torture. We have seen cases where individuals will say the police officers wrote the statement for them, even when they can read and write. It's not advisable. If you can read and write, it's always advisable to write the statement in your own hand instead of allowing the police officers to write for you. And if you cannot read and write, that's one of the essence why we said it's important for you to go with your legal practitioner that will be able to guide you through the investigative process. In all this, it is important to maintain a respectful and cooperative attitude during interactions with law enforcement agencies. Avoiding confrontations can lead to a smoother resolution of issues throughout your interactions with them. A lot of people are usually defensive once they put a question to them, even questions that don't require you getting angry. Some people will get angry, talk to officers anyhow. That kind of confrontation might be detrimental to your case. But when you're not confrontational, when you approach them respectfully without any form of attitude, when you cooperate with them, it usually helps you to lead to a smoother resolution of the interactions you have with them. So in all of this, invitation, we have said, is different from arrest. Invitation, you are being called upon to come and talk about some questions, come and put answers to some questions, or come and shed light on some things that has to do with the investigative processes. But here is different from arrest. So what is arrest? Invitation, as earlier discussed, like I said earlier, is different from arrest. An arrest is the act of apprehending and taking of a person into custody, usually because the person is suspected to have committed a crime or he has observed the commission of a crime. So just like invitation, the law enforcement usually have the right to arrest any individual suspected to have committed a crime. And an arrest may be carried out anywhere. It means once you have been suspected to have committed a crime, you can be arrested in your residence, on the street, in the office, in your workplace, your worship center, and so on. You can be arrested anywhere. So it is advisable for an individual at the point of arrest to submit to such arrest by word or action, because if not, the police can actually touch and confine the body of the suspect during arrest. So if you don't want to be touched anyhow, if you don't want to be confined, it's better for you to submit to arrest first at the point of arrest. Submit to it instead of being unnecessarily difficult. And during arrest, the suspect should not ordinarily be handcuffed or subjected to restraint. That is the general rule. Normally, if you are to be arrested, you are not supposed to be immediately be handcuffed or subjected to any form of restraint. But there are exceptions. There are some cases where it is just there is a reasonable apprehension of violence or an attempt to escape by the person they want to arrest. So if the suspect is, intends to escape or wants to escape, and the police suspect a kind of violence to occur, if there's an apprehension of violence, they can actually use the handcuffs and restrain you. Also, where the restraint is considered necessary for the safety of the suspect or the defendant, and of course by order of court, the court sometimes can order that the person be arrested and handcuffed and brought down. Then the suspect can also be handcuffed in such instance and subjected to restraint. So it is your right to be informed of the reason for your arrest. Upon arrest, it is your right to be told, this is what we are arresting you for. It is your right to be informed of the reason for your arrest, except when the suspect is in the actual course of the commission of the offense. If they caught you red-handed while you are committing the offense, of course, telling you will be somehow. Of course, you already know what you are doing. So if you are caught in the act, the commission of the offense, you need not to be told the reason for your arrest. But otherwise, it is your right to be told the reason where they want to arrest you. So notification of cause of arrest is important, but once you are caught right in the middle of the act, you need not be told. It is also mandatory that the officers arresting a suspect inform the person about the person's rights. That's why sometimes you will see, and if you have not seen, probably you have watched the movies where the police officers will tell you you have a right to remain silent or avoid answering any questions. You understand that they will somehow sometimes inform you of your rights, and such rights includes that you have the right to remain silent or avoid answering any questions until after consultation with your legal practitioner or any other person of your own choice. They will also tell you that you can consult a legal practitioner of your choice before making, endorsing, or writing any statement or answering any question put to you after arrest. So dear, these are some of the things you need to be aware of upon your arrest. But the most important thing, once you are to be arrested, submit yourself to arrest peacefully instead of being handcuffed or being subjected to restraint. There's something we call arrest in lieu. It means arresting someone else in place of a suspect. Sometimes we watch it in the movies, sometimes it even happens real life, where probably a son committed a crime and the police officers couldn't find the son. They go ahead to arrest the father, the mother, the sibling. This is what we call arrest in lieu. This is totally unlawful. It is unconstitutional. It is totally unlawful. So arrest in lieu, that is arresting someone else in place of a suspect, is totally against our laws. The law provides that a person shall not be arrested in place of a suspect. So like arresting a mother or father, like I said, or a brother or a friend of a suspect just to make the suspect to show up is illegal. Some police officers do that, but it is illegal. So police officers can only arrest based on criminal allegations, crime. We have cases where we discover that police officers arrest somebody for civil action, civil matters. This is not supposed to be so. The police can only arrest based on criminal allegations. So it is unlawful for police to arrest based on a civil wrong. It is so clear in Section 32 of the Nigerian Police Force, Nigeria Police Establishment Act of 2024. It states that police officers cannot arrest any person in respect of a mere civil wrong and breach of contract. So what is a criminal offense and what is a civil wrong? We need to know the difference. We have said that police officers can only arrest for a criminal offense and not for a civil wrong. A civil wrong is an illegal action that is targeted towards a specific person or a corporation, for which an action for damages or other civil remedies may be brought. So any action that the ultimate thing that can come out of it is probably damages or other civil remedies that will not result to imprisonment or any form of criminal punishment, that is a civil wrong. While a crime in the broad terms involves community condemnation and punishment through the state. So that is the difference. So the police is only concerned with crimes, with actions that borders on criminal liabilities, not civil wrong. So a person should not be arrested for a civil wrong, like I said. However, there are instances where elements of crime can be in a civil wrong. For example, a person wants to take a loan from maybe a loan company now, and when you were asked to provide a surety, you provided details of probably your dead father, which was dead at that time. And after he was unable to pay and the company called on the surety, it was discovered that the father had been dead even before he obtained that loan. That can be seen as a crime. So there are sometimes some situations where in a civil action or a civil wrong, some criminal tendencies can be drawn from it. So in that case, police can still step in. So it is possible to be arrested if there is a commission of crime during a civil transaction. Like we said earlier, you are listening to Legal Clues on Emirate Radio. Sit back, relax. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to Legal Clues, and we are discussing invitation and arrest of individuals by law enforcement agencies. We have said a lot about it, the difference between invitation and arrest. We have talked about the importance of taking a legal practitioner along with you or a person of interest when you are honoring an invitation. We have also said it's advisable to submit peacefully to arrest instead of being constrained or handcuffed. Now we want to talk about period of detention. The Constitution provides for the period for which a person can be detained by the police before being taken to court. The law provides that a suspect can ordinarily be detained for just 24 hours and a maximum of 48 hours if there is no court close by, or for example if it's a weekend. So a person should not stay beyond 48 hours in a police custody before being charged to court. So a suspect can only be detained at the police custody within a maximum of 48 hours before being charged to court. So those are the basics that need to be known about invitation and police arrest. But there's also need to mention the consequences of not honoring police invitation. The police calls you to come and you're not honoring it. Probably they will still call you again, you still did not honor it. What are the consequences of not honoring police invitation? It will definitely lead to arrest. That's the first one. If they've been inviting you and you're not coming of your own volition, it will lead to arrest. They will eventually come and arrest you by force. So it's part of the consequences. If you don't honor police invitation, you can be arrested. And so like I said earlier, whether you are invited by law enforcement or you are arrested, is it important to maintain a respectful and cooperative attitude during interactions with law enforcement agencies. Avoiding confrontations can lead to a smoother resolution throughout your interaction. It will even be calmer for you to avoid confrontations. And some police officers that even goes beyond what they are expected to do, to torture, to inflict injury, to beat. It's not right, but they do that notwithstanding. So it will be safer for you to avoid confrontations with police officers upon probably arrest or invitation. So in all, whether it's a civil wrong or a criminal offense, let us all try to run away from illegality. If you involve yourself in illegal transactions, you should know that the police will definitely come for you. So it's important in all we do, whether we are going through a civil transaction with anybody or whether it's a criminal offense, it's important for us to know that we should try to run away from illegality. Staying off from crime will help us a lot. It's important to be law abiding and to remain good citizens of Nigeria. And that is what we stand here to tell you, to remain good citizens, devoid of crime and criminal tendencies, to live a crime-free life, and ultimately you'll be peaceful with yourself. So this will be the end of today's program. By the grace of God, we'll come back next week to give you another juicy and interesting legal topic to talk about. Until next time, we pray that the Lord bless you and you have a beautiful week ahead of you. God bless you.